this confirms the Raptors officially robbed the NBA, as Brandon Ingram just had his opening press conference as a Toronto Raptor, and we heard from Ingram himself, we heard from Bobby Webster, we've gotten quotes come out from Darko Rajaković about Brandon Ingram coming into this Toronto Raptors team, and frankly, I keep saying it keeps getting better every time that we hear more details on this trade. Hear Brandon Ingram give quotes, have people around the situation give quotes, but frankly, I couldn't be more overjoyed with some of the things we heard from Brandon Ingram, his perspective, how he's feeling about joining Toronto, and the Raptors' plans, whether it's Bobby, whether it's Darko, in terms of growing this team and building this team with Brandon Ingram in mind. So we have a ton of things to discuss, a ton of things to break down out here on this video. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Again, I will mention, hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with everything going on with this Toronto Raptors team, because of course this team is about to get very, very exciting over the next couple seasons. Don't want you to miss a single thing. But let's dive into the quotes, as Brandon Ingram had his first press conference and he came out and said, at the beginning of the year, every time the schedule comes out, the first team we mark is Toronto. I don't think it's ever for the team. It's for the city. And also, I just felt that I needed a fresh start somewhere where guys played hard and they listened. So that is, first of all, just great to see from Brandon Ingram coming out. And of course, just being excited, being happy about coming to the city of Toronto, coming to, the Toronto. It's an amazing city. It's an amazing place. Canada, it's a wicked spot. But of course, it's gotten a bad rep because players have left Toronto out there in seasons past. Kawhi didn't stay. All of these types of things. But of course, we know how awesome the market is of the Toronto Raptors, the fan base we have, the city. So the fact that Brandon Ingram likes to come to Toronto, is eager, was selected here as his destination, is a huge positive. And we went on to say that the culture, the food, and just the different people, it's a different setting. It's a high pace. It's different from New Orleans. So the fact that he's so bought in and being in Toronto, being in the city, is great, especially for a star player that is coming to Toronto, and hopefully he's going to be here for a very long time after successful seasons with this group. So that's a positive. He also said, I've been injured. I've been injured a little bit, so I've been forgotten about a little bit. I'm coming to Toronto. I feel like I have the chance to sprout. And this is everything we've heard from Brandon Ingram, from Bobby, from the entire cast of characters that have been involved in this trade, because Brandon Ingram was an all-star a few seasons ago at a very, very young age. And then things his growth, his development kind of got stunted out in New Orleans with all the injuries, the Zion Williamson drama. Everything that was going on with that team made it a very tough situation for Brandon Ingram to take his game to the absolute next level. He's still averaging 22, 5, and 5. Like, he has been an awesome basketball player, but has fallen out of the main topic of discussion amongst the NBA in terms of those upper echelon guys. So the fact that, he's coming in looking to sprout is huge, and we get a perspective in terms of how good he wants to be, as he came out and said it directly that they want to make me an all-star again. And that's exactly the perspective. A guy that's 27 years old, that has a lot to prove still in the NBA, even though he's been an all-star before, even though he's been a consistent top-level guy. He just got paid. This man is motivated. He is coming into Toronto. He is motivated. He loves the city. He chose to be here, and that's exactly what we've been hoping for. This feels like something that we've never actually seen, because, of course, he wasn't a free agent signing, but this was for more or less a free agent signing the way it happened. But in order for it to actually go down, it had to be a trade in order to make the money work, the cap work, in that whole situation. We need his bird rights to give him that extension. So this is essentially, by far, the biggest, signing in Toronto Raptors history. Happened at the trade deadline, in comparables in terms of guys that chose to be here, opted to be here. I mean, DeMarre Carroll comes to mind. Of course, his tenure with the Toronto Raptors didn't live up to the hype as to when he got signed. You had the Otto Porter Jr. signing, which, of course, fell down a similar route, given the fact he was so injured and everything that went on there at this point. Brandon Ingram is a bona fide all-star. He's entering the prime of his career, and he is choosing to be here, and he is motivated. He's not just coming here to get a bag. He's not just coming here, hey, the Raptors offered me a 5-year extension at the max money, whatever the heck it was. No, he is coming in to get back to that all-star form. He's coming to a city that he wants to play in. They're motivated. They listen. It's a good group of people. This is exactly the culture the Toronto Raptors are building, and Brandon Ingram, from everything he said, is the perfect guy to slide in here and, be a part of this group, be a part of this team. So that is a huge, huge positive. But it wasn't just Brandon Ingram giving quotes out here in this whole situation, as Darko Rajaković had some comments. He said he really likes Oxtail in Toronto. He really likes the city. He really likes our fans here. He really likes our young guys. He's been impressed with what he saw and the potential that we have here. He's even been embracing the culture. So it's, it's not just Brandon saying the right things. Darko's coming out and addressing this to be true, being happy about Brandon Ingram coming in and, taking part, buying into the Toronto Raptors culture that really carried us through the 2010s into an NBA championship. It's getting reconstructed here now at this point, which is great to see. And then Bobby Webster also said it's an exciting day for the franchise. Brandon wanted to be here. We've been big fans of him for many years. It's an important step as we rebuild this roster and continue to add talent to this core. So everyone is just consistently stating how Brandon Ingram is a guy that wants to be here, wants to be on this group. So it's getting a little bit redundant now at this point, but I can't stress enough how positive this is for the Toronto Raptors moving guy, and especially where, this is, of course, going to get compared to the Pascal Siakam trade. And Pascal Siakam, it's not new that star players want to be in Toronto. We've had a ton of stars want to stay. DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet wanted to stay too, and of course then he got paid an absolute lucrative contract by other teams. So we've had all-star caliber players want to stay in Toronto. That's not novel, but a guy that wasn't even here, wasn't even on the roster, wasn't ingrained in the culture just yet, seeing from the outside looking in, wanted to come here. Things are changing. The narrative is changing around the Toronto Raptors, and that is awesome to see. And then we also got some interesting quotes from Darko. Said that he spent 2 hours in Philadelphia and spoke to a lot of the coaches that have worked with him. Said he's a player of substance with a very, very high, and is very high on him. So Darko is very high on Brandon Ingram, as you'd expect, him coming in and having that long conversation. And then Webster came out and said that this trade was a no-brainer for us, as they've projected out the cap and tax situation and feel very comfortable about the flexibility that they have, and some will depend on where their pick lands. So this is one of the other concerns that some people had regarding this Brandon Ingram move. This Brandon Ingram, coming into this group is, hey, he's getting paid a ton of money. He's getting paid some serious bread. So how is that going to affect the key word that was thrown out by Masai Ujiri last year? Flexibility. And what's going to go on? We didn't want to pay Pascal Siakam that 5-year kind of max contract extension. How are we feeling? Well, Bobby Webster is essentially scenarios with his contract, everything that's going on, and there shouldn't be any issues in regards to cap flexibility. Of course, the goal, the mission is to get Cooper Flag at the end of the season with all the ping pong balls, seeing how the lottery, the lottery plays out. But even if we do end of the worst case cap scenario in terms of Cooper Flag coming in, that's a very, very good problem to have, and they should still be underneath the cap, even with Brandon Ingram coming in. So lots of positives there. Lots of things to get excited about as a Toronto Raptors fan. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about Brandon Ingram, all of the comments he's made since he's joined the Toronto Raptors. You guys best think as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.